Alright gamers, so in this video, we're going to take a look at the next player for our Friday's game and the Mutants and Masterminds subscriber game that I'm going to be running. So let's go ahead, go on over and take a look and meet the player. Alright gamers, here we are. We are with our third player for the Friday's subscriber Mutants and Masterminds game that I will be running. This is Dax. Dax, say hello.
Hey everyone.
Awesome. So we've just got his character done. We're going to jump over here into Roll20, and I'm going to have him walk you through it. All right. So first, let's start with concept. So talk to us about your concept. What is your character?
So my character is kind of like a mystic, in the vein of, your typical favorite mystic characters, Raven, Doctor Strange, all that sort of thing. So just that kind of out there, kind of learned individual. Was kind of a big bookworm, bit nerdy, but hey.
Okay, nothing wrong with that, right?
Right.
The world always needs smart people, right?
Exactly.
Okay. All right, so let's just dive right in here to powers and abilities.
Sure.
So talk to me about your abilities, like your strength and fighting and all that stuff. Talk to me about why you chose the levels that they're at.
Okay, so he's a bit of a weenie when it comes to strength. Not so much the big beefy superhero that you imagine, but kind of like an average run-of-the-mill guy. His real powers come from his intellect and his awareness of the situation. So kind of I went with the high stat, obviously, as intellect, because he's in his bookshop reading every day and all that. He's kind of got that that drive to learn. So that's where I put the highest stat as being intellect. I wanted to have pretty decent awareness because got to make sure that the customers in the bookshop are well attended to. So that implies to his awareness and his presence. So those are the next highest stats at 2. So
okay, they got the dexterity of 1.
Yeah, just dusting around to the bookshop, you get a little
Understandable. All right, great selection of points allocated. So you spent 18 points there. Let's move over into skills. So now you talk about you're like a curator of a bookstore, which we'll talk more about in the backstory section.
Right.
But talk to me about all your skills and why you chose them.
Okay, so he's actually been in hiding a bit. So we went with a pretty high, or a little, +4 to 4 ranks in deception, because keeping up that veneer of just a run-of-the-mill guys kind of makes you a little bit deceptive. He's learned it, over the time that he's been in the bookshop. He's learned his mystic arts, which we represented by his expertise in mysticism, and the source of his powers are actually from the Babylonians. So of course he has an expertise in Babylonian history. The insight, got to be able to pick up on those customers, make sure that they're taken care of. Investigation, that's just him knowing how to research stuff, knowing what to find, where to find it, all that. Perception, again, tying back to he's been on the run, and also he's a store, so got to keep your eyes open all the time. Persuasion, got to sell those books. His ranged combat is Mystic Blast. So that's just just his powers, what the powers come from. And then stealth, again, he's been on the run, so he's kind of been hiding from the government with everything that's been going on. And treatment, he just has a first aid book that he kind of keeps around and thumb through it a couple times, so he's got that.
Excellent. Some very, very well thought out thematic choices for your skill selection, especially with your mysticism, your Babylonian history. Now, I did let you kind of create where magic comes from in this world.
Right.
So together we kind of came up, an ancient civilization. You chose the Babylonians. They're the ones that maybe discovered, maybe not created, but they discovered it. And a lot of the books and tomes and information you've been studying is written in that language as well.
Right.
So let's go. Let's go to advantages before we do powers. We'll do powers last.
Okay.
All right. So let's talk about advantages. Go over what you picked and why you picked it.
Okay, so you got trance. You always see the mystics there meditating and all that jazz. So you got that. Kind of gives you a little bit of a it's like you won't be affected by poison and stuff like that. So just that kind of deep sleep for kind of state for the mystics. Well informed. Again, he owns a bookshop. He's read a lot of books. So he's got that knowledge of, I know where this is. And I know these people. I read about them in a book that one time, maybe 5 years ago, but I know it's there. You got ritualist, which is him just, hey, we need to do a teleportation spell. Well, I got that, no problem. Just in my little bag of tricks. Got fearless. That's just from him delving into the dark, the dark end of the mystic arts. Just he won't be afraid of that darkness or whatever. So he just, stalwart in that sort of sense. Then obviously language is Babylonian. If your source is Babylonian, you obviously have to read Babylonian. So that's where he gets that. And also he's been his ultimate effort. Spend a hero point, you get 20 on expertise for his mysticism. It's just in case he really needs to exceed on a mysticism check, like say for instance that teleportation spell really needs this to go off, so he focuses really hard on it and it gets it to go off no problem.
Cool, excellent. I love these choices. I know a lot of these we kind of talked together, you and I, about choices to take, and
Right.
I think together we came up with some pretty good choices that are going to go thematically for your character. They're going to serve you well in the game.
Right.
All right, on to powers. So let's talk about powers. I'll let you walk us through here. What do we got starting out with?
Okay, so we got mystic sense, just that ability to sense that magical presence, and just, when you're surrounded by the mystic all the time, you're going to have that natural sense of, oh, someone cast magic over here. Oh, someone. So that's kind of where that comes from. Um, back to talking about Raven and stuff like that. She's really well trained in those abilities, like just knowing that sort of thing. Going back to again, Raven and Doctor Strange, they have kind of like a flight ability. So we got that going on for him. Protection, just like it's just him warding himself with his mystic powers. And then we've got, his Mystic Blast, which we set up Mystic Blast with an array. So we've got, just a standard Mystic Blast, this rain damage. Then we've got the array set up to where he can switch it out for telekinesis, just moving objects and stuff like that. His telepathy, being able to communicate with people around. He is able to walk through objects and stuff like that. So he's got phasing. And they've got kind of like a scrying, so remote sensing. He can see for around 16 miles, just being able to hone his senses in and just know where stuff is and stuff like that. And then we've got Mystic Ward, again, going back to that protection. So he's able to channel that and protect maybe himself or his teammates when he needs to, just, channeling that mystic energy to just protect himself or what he needs to be protected.
Mm-hmm. Now, I see we did decide to just put 12, deflect 12. Obviously, that's going to be over power level limits. But since it's part of the array, there's no reason not to put it at this. Obviously, whatever would exceed power level limits would just be dropped off.
Right.
But that just means that you're kind of set going forward
Right.
for several power levels. You're not going to need to put more points in that, or you wouldn't need to increase it in any way.
Right.
Okay. Cool. So that was the quick and dirty on the characters. So now let's kind of go into let's go into backstory. So
Okay.
talk a little bit about the backstory. I know you and I kind of worked on it. You had some
Right.
ideas, and based on the ideas I've got for the world, I kind of gave you some, and we kind of put it together.
Right.
Why don't you tell everybody what we came up with?
Okay, so Mordecai Black is his name, and he was actually an up-and-coming hero back in the Golden Age. He was, about 20 then. He was getting ready to go. Bands came out, so he came in and Have they changed some stuff with the heroes legislation, made it a crime to be a hero, made it a crime to be a vigilante. So he actually had to go into hiding. So he moves to where a store place, buys himself or meets this old man and who owns a bookstore. Old man passes away. Come to find out, this store is loaded with stuff for him to practice his mystical arts. So he just starts running this bookshop, practicing his mystical arts, and day in day out, he just kind of practicing, getting up there, till finally to the point where he's like, you know what, that's it. Mrs. Jenkins, I saw her the other day. She was looking a little rough. Maybe I can go out and protect these people. Maybe she had a bad day. Go out and protect these people that I serve. So that was kind of the idea with that character.
Okay, yeah. So definitely, what kind of ideas you had versus what I had. I like the idea how we came up with, so you were going to be the hero, but then, the bans came out, the legislations came out. You decided to, well, I don't want to get in trouble. I'm going to go do something else. They knew that you existed because you had been out and about a little bit. You weren't a big name. You weren't a big player on the scene.
Right.
But you were still out there and people knew of you. So you decided to just, hightail it across country, start a new life. Through your connection with the mysticism, like you find this old man, realize that he has a connection with mysticism as well. He has his own like little sanctum sanctorum kind of hidden little spot in his bookstore that he runs.
Right. Yeah.
That has some of these old tomes. And he gets sick, he passes away, right? He leaves you all this stuff. So now you're the curator of this bookstore, and you have your own little hideout and that, like you said, that safe place to kind of practice, keep your skills from getting rusty. Obviously, you can't go flying around the city, doing all the dare and do. But when we get in the game, there's going to be a situation probably that's gonna bring you out of hiding.
Right.
Now the question begs, right? So your character's like 40-something years old now, and he's, it's been almost 20 years since the Golden Age ended, and the current times are here. When that call to action comes, like, is your character gonna wanna take that? Being as old as he is he still ready to put on the cowl, so to speak, and go out there and do what he needs to do?
So he's kind of a bit of like the grumpy old grandpa. He's kind of, obviously 44 is by no means grandpa, but he's kind of like that. Oh, okay. Well, I guess that store got robbed. Well, the police aren't going to do anything. I guess it's up to me. So kind of like the reluctant hero, kind of like, these kids out here, they don't know what's going on. Kind of like the father figure behind everybody, kind of like, hey, I've read these books, I got a thing or two to tell you. I was there in the golden age or whatever. So my vision for this character is kind of like that, like the kind of grumpy, I don't want to do this, but I'm the best there is. So.
Okay. I'm going to be definitely excited to see how this works out in the game. With this backstory, it's going to be kind of great. You're going to be kind of established already. You're going to be maybe even a mentor for your group because I think so far mostly you're about double the age of all the other characters.
Right.
So you could be like those words of wisdom, set them on the right path. Give them the information that they're going to need. Plus, you can hold your own in a fight.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. So. One more question, though. If you had to go back and remake this character, would you do anything differently? Would you change points around? Would you do anything differently?
Yeah, so it was a bit of a learning experience because, this is one of my first characters in this system. So now that I have kind of like a sense of where you need to trim some fat here and there, so there might be some things I would change, but so far I'm liking this character. So it just gave me it kind of opened my mind to the possibilities of what I can do with these characters. So I wouldn't change this character per se, but maybe going forward I would go about it in a different way.
Okay. Yeah, the system is very robust. It allows for a lot of customization, and I believe this game, more than most other role-playing games that I've played, you have to really develop the character concept first.
Right.
To be able to choose the powers, the skills, abilities to go around that instead of buying all this stuff that sounds cool and then trying to make a concept around it.
Right.
But I think we've done a pretty good job developing that concept and then picking stuff very thematic to its theme.
Right.
Excellent. Cool. So do you have anything else for us? Anything you wanted to say about the character?
No, just not much. Just hoping he gets out there and fights some crime.
Alrighty. Well, I definitely had some stuff planned that will give you opportunities to do so.
Awesome.
But viewers, if you want to see that, so we'll be running games on Thursday and Friday. I will probably have I'm going to record those sessions and I will have those uploaded on the weekend directly following those game sessions. So you should be able to watch them as soon as I get those up. And I hope you tune into those, and I hope you're going to enjoy this. And I hope you are excited to see all of these characters in game and see how they work.